Morning guys, so finally I got my cylinder head out. It's relatively simple, pretty straightforward. Once you've moved all the stuff out of the way step by step to take the intake manifold off and to get the cam cover off, it's pretty straightforward. There's a few odd things that have to be moved around. I marked my cams with red paint, so on my two cams I've got a red paint mark, and on the chain there's a perfect line. Also just turned the engine ever so slightly before I took them off so that the arrows on the cams were facing upright. So I blew my head gasket between the two cylinders, these two here. I think the lamination on the head gasket, there's two parts of the head gasket. I think the water and coolant was squeezing through the lamination and also getting in there. Other than that, everything looks pretty normal here, although I noticed there is a bit of play in the pistons. You can't really see, but there's a very slight amount of play in there, strangely, and I think that's just general wear and tear. I've got 255,000 kilometers on here, 2012 Ford Ranger T6. So I can, and it's worked hard. It's used on a farm and does lots of hard work and chores and so on. So yeah, that's about it from my side. But step by step I've sent the cylinder head in. It's going to be skimmed. I'm going to get new gaskets. I'm going to clean down all this grime and stuff here just to get the surface nice and clean. Yeah, so I look forward to putting it back together, and hopefully it's quiet. Got to buy new bolts for it as well. The bolts that are used on these vehicles are stretched bolts, which means once they're used they can't be used again. So I'm going to buy new stretch bolts. There's 18 of them I think on the cylinder head, and torque them down to spec and fit everything back. And then I've got a friend that's going to do the timing for me. He works for Ford, and he's going to set the timing correctly, even though I've marked it, but then I'm 100% sure it's going to be fine after that. So as you can see, it's quite a procedure to get things off the engine in order to get the cylinder head off, but all very well worth it, and you can save yourself a lot of time and effort. I shall post in due course a detailed video, step by step, once again, when I start putting it back together.